Hayward inbounds it to Booker, who tapped it up and in. Oh my goodness, what a play! Booker on his back to the basket from 8 feet out. The pass came to him. He volleyballed it up with 2 hands and it went into the hoop. Trevor Booker, so smart.
Just did favors. We are ready to tip off. Are you? Let's do this.
Good morning. Welcome to Tip Off this morning. We'll look at some lineup data that makes the Warriors look ever so scary. Peer into the NBA 5, talk a little Trey Burke, and get you ready for a good one tonight at Energy Solutions. Plus, take your questions. It all coming up on Tip Off. Pow. Hope everyone's great. I'm having anxiety attacks and all sorts of problems because yesterday, after a fabulous ski day, walking from the trunk to the car, my hands were cold. I slipped and dropped my phone. Excuse right there. Into a 1.5 foot of fresh powder. Picked it up immediately. Done. Gone. Not working. It's been like I've lived stunningly. I've lived now for like 18 hours without a phone. If any of you can imagine me and gadgets, it's almost impossible. I hope you're well. Good one tonight. Jazz Warriors tickets are still available. Not a lot, so jump on it early. Lakers on Friday. Tickets for that are available at UtahJazz.com. Tonight's Be Fit night. I always love when the NBA does events like this. So let's get it rolling and get right into the NBA 5.
This is Rodney Hood, and you are locked on Jazz.
Thank you very much, Rodney. By the way, Atlanta is now 4 games up in the Eastern Conference. 4 games up in the Eastern Conference. Stunning. I liked Atlanta. Didn't see this. Don't think anyone really saw this. Zach Lowe is high on the Atlanta bandwagon as anyone. I don't think he saw this. The NBA is as open as it's ever been, and I think that's what's led to the expansiveness of the amount of trades that we've seen early on this year. It's January 13th, and just about everyone's added a significant piece in the Western Conference because it can make such a big difference. I mean, that's the old adage that the regular season doesn't matter is certainly over now. Warriors have a game on Portland. Houston's 3 back of Portland, but Memphis is only a half game back of the Rockets, and Dallas is still only lost 2 in a row, or a half game back of Memphis, and the Clippers were scuffling a little bit. And then there's the Spurs at 7, and Phoenix is holding for dear life 2.5 games, but only 1 of the lost column ahead of Oklahoma City. And what you also have is if anything goes wrong, I think there's a feeling of doom so quickly, too. The Clippers have the exact same record they had at this point last year when they went on to the 3rd seed. Right now they're the 6th seed, and I think it seems like there's something really wrong with them. In the East, Milwaukee is the 5th team in the East. It's laughable. I'll have to present my proposal again on what we do. But Cleveland's lost 5 in a row and are still in the 6th spot. Brooklyn's lost 6 in a row. They're still in the 8th spot. Charlotte's won 5 in a row and are suddenly charging a game and a half back. And Chicago and Detroit won again last night. They're 2 back. So the East is a mess because everybody has a chance to make the playoffs, which is either good or bad. And then the West is crazy because everyone has a chance to win it. Last night, 4 games in the NBA while the national championship was going on, and only one of them makes sense. Houston went into Brooklyn, who's just unwatchable right now, and is just terrible, and has got to be on the verge of a fire sale and has nobody that anyone's willing to pick up in a fire sale and is stuck with Darren, who we'll talk about in a second, stuck with Joe Johnson, who seems to have lost any real essence of playing, and Brook Lopez, who can't stay healthy, and they now have coming off the bench, and they lost to Houston. Josh Smith, by the way, was 5 of 15 last night. It's not going to change. Houston's finding a way to get through it. James had 30. He's just incredible. 13 shot attempts. And Monte Eunice is really good. I loved Monte Eunice out of the draft. He's really good, by the way. does a lot of things well. Maybe gets exposed in the playoffs in certain matchups, but I'm not so certain of that anymore. But here are the three wacky ones last night. New Orleans goes to under 500. It just shouldn't be happening with a 108-100 loss to Boston. Now, okay, I guess we got the excuse they can't stay healthy, but at this point they're pretty healthy. I mean, have decided that Tyreek Evans is coming off the bench. They're pretty much who they are. Anthony Davis had 34, 9, and 4 with 3 blocks last night. He's incredible. They lose, and Boston, and they continue to just be terrible defensively. They allow 108 fairly high-paced game last night. But if you dig a second level in New Orleans last night, the shots they allow, they continue to allow the second most amount of shots of any team in the restricted area. Last night they allowed 30 shots in the restricted area to Boston, 30 of their 88 shots. And Drew Holiday's not a terrible defender. Anthony Davis is supposed to be really good. Omer Ashik, something's way off there. Detroit goes into Toronto and wins 114-111. Toronto may have been playing their first game back from a long road trip, but still surprising. And Brandon Jennings is having a revival. 34 for Jennings last night, 10 assists. This is a guy that truly, I mean, I kind of put him, frankly, to me, he was exactly who Trey Burke has been. Low percentage, 37%, 39, 41, 39, 37. This year he's still only at 40 at 25 years old, but something in the last month has completely turned. And the other thing on Jennings, if you look back and remember his rookie year, he's on a playoff team. The month of January, Jennings is averaging 23 points, 7 assists, shooting 47% and 42% from 3. What happened? Worth keeping an eye on. These point guards that are suddenly clicking in late are worth keeping an eye on for us. And then finally last night, not that I've never done, I don't really just go through box scores, but Orlando goes into Chicago and wins. And Orlando's been awful. But moreover, Orlando scores 121 points in Chicago last night. And they're starting a guy named Devin Marble I've never heard of and don't have to because we don't play them again. So weird stuff last night in the NBA. Kind of a weird Monday. Pau Gasol was mammoth again, 28 and 14, but maybe somehow, I mean, something's not right on that team. Is the only way to say it. I mean, Mike Dunleavy that important? Have a hard time believing it. That is your NBA 5.
Hey, this is Gordon Hayward. I want to hear from you. Call 801-200-3738 and ask me a question. That's 801-200-3738 to ask me a question.
Thank you very much. All right. This relates a little bit to the whole league and to tonight's game. This is 5-man lineup data, which I believe I've just shared with you on your screen. It's so small I don't think you can see it yet. And I'm going to show you some things that are a bit stunning. The only real numbers we care about are the first 4, so this is good. If I sort, these are the top 100 used lineups in the NBA. Look at this. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Maurice Spates, Klay Thompson, 93 minutes plus 35. Andrew Bogut, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Klay Thompson, plus 30. Interesting here, it's Steph, Iguodala, Klay, and Draymond all together. So it's when Barnes leaves, it doesn't seem to matter the centers. Oh, wait, except for Harrison Barnes in with Bogut, Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson, their regular starting lineup, plus 29. The Warriors have the 3 best 5-man units in the NBA. Oh, wait, what's this? Barnes, Curry, Draymond Green, Maurice Spates, Klay Thompson. Oh, so if you take Bogut out and you put in Spates, plus 23.5. Are you kidding me? So the Warriors have 4 of the top 7 5-man lineups in the NBA, and they played real minutes. And the key is if Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson are on the floor together, it doesn't seem to matter who's next. Right? Iguodala seems nice, but Harrison Barnes is in here twice. Bogut seems nice, but Maurice Spates is in here. As long as Curry, Draymond Green, I didn't do three-man lineup, but it's got to be out of the roof, through the roof. It's incredible. While we're here, just kind of a fun thing to do. The best defensive five-man lineup in the NBA so far this year. Oh, look at that. Trevor Booker, Dante Exum, Rudy Gobert, Gordon Hayward, and Joe Ingles. Interesting. Wouldn't have suspected that. Worth noting, though, might be a reason why Rudy comes off the bench tonight and lets Canner start, because then that group stays together to some extent. Here's the other one I wouldn't have suspected. Collison, Cousins, Gay, McLemore, Thompson. A little surprised. And then here's the Warriors. Harrison Barnes, Andrew Bogut, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson. Another one, Andrew Bogut, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Klay Thompson. Amazing. Oh, wait, here's another Warrior one. Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala, Maurice Spates, Klay Thompson. This team is the number one defensive team in the league with these sharpshooters. Who's the best offensive five in the league? Played at least 100 minutes. Oh, wait, there's Steph Curry again. Yellow, by the way, are lineups that will never be formed again. Yellow is Tarek Black got released, and this is Brandon Wright got traded. This is interesting to me. Yeah, here's the best offense lineups. Oh, look, there's the Warriors. 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 Clippers are loaded in here, too. One Clipper lineup, two Clipper lineup, three Clipper lineup. Pretty amazing how good the Warriors are. And also, by the way, for all of the panic of the Cleveland Cavaliers, look at this lineup. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Sean Marion, Tristan Thompson. Why aren't they playing that lineup? Well, because LeBron's out. But why aren't they playing without them? Plus 28. And here's the essence of the problem in New Orleans I talked about earlier. Here's their best lineup. It's one of the great offensive lineups in the league. It might be the single worst defensive lineup in the league. I think our starting lineup is right up there for single worst defensive lineups in the league, too. The worst defensive lineup in the league, this is worth noting, Vasquez with Kyle Lowry, Terrence Ross, Amir Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas. Minnesota, no surprise. LA, no surprise. Here it is. Here's New Orleans, and then here's our original starting lineup, which is actually only minus 0.3, which is interesting to note that they're still that good. That offense is one of the best offensive groups in the NBA. But that tells you a little bit of what the Jazz are up against tonight with the Warriors. They are just rolling. And some of the numbers are incredible. Their road record over the last 45 games is 33 and 45 or something on the road. It's truly remarkable. Hard to believe, actually. And they've taken another step with Steve Kerr, and that's worth noting. But it is also worth noting that some of these foundations were built with this personnel, and the drafting of Draymond Green's out of the world, the acquiring of Andre Iguodala. They have two All-Stars coming off the bench, David Lee and Andre Iguodala. Okay, you can dismiss what they're both on the All-Star team. Okay, it's hard to make an All-Star team. They both made an All-Star team. Good test for the Jazz. Had enough time off. Playing well, 14th offensively in the last 12 games, 8th defensively in the last 12 games, 12th overall in the last 12 games. Number 4 opponent shooting percentage defense in the last 12 games. Good test. See what happens. And a good test for Trey Burke, who's not only been defending well, but really playing well. Last 4 games, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 9 for 17 from 3. Seems like it's more than just shots going in for Trey. It's only a 4-game sample size, but let's see. Has something flipped? It's pretty incredible. It's coming off of the night against Philadelphia where everyone was just like, okay, or not against Philadelphia, against whomever it was, against Indiana maybe, where he had one of the worst historical nights shooting, and it was just like, okay, it's over. I don't think it was Indiana either. It was, nonetheless, you know who it was. Might have been Atlanta. And you wonder, you watch Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague was not very good for the first 2 years in this league. He clicked in the 3rd year. Brandon Jennings may have clicked in his 5th year. on his second team. Brandon Knight sort of clicking in this year in Milwaukee. They're all right. He's played much better. Maybe it takes some time. Maybe, you know, and the circumstances around Trey this year are hard. Uh, New coach asking a lot, demanding a lot, trying to make him play differently. Uh, and Trey has some deficiencies that he has to learn how to play with. Athletically, he's not superior, but he suddenly is finishing around the rim at a much higher rate than he has all year long, which is really, to me, might be the most exciting thing that I'm seeing out of Trey. Is suddenly a willingness to go to the basket, create things, and sure, he's getting spiked every now and then. He can't rise up and pack over people, but he's figuring out the angles, figuring out how to go to the basket a little bit more. Well, interesting to see. He may have turned a corner. I do think that watching Dante go out there when he was sick and Dante having a bad game allowed Trey to relax. Trey's 22. Trey is still a baby who has to learn how to change his game. Right? I mean, that's the best way to think about it. He doesn't naturally have a skill set that dominates and overwhelms people. If you look at his scoring, and how he's doing it and where he's doing it and things of that nature, there's some positive signs taking place in his game recently. There's some real changes. Last 5 games, his 2-point makes are unassisted 87% of the time instead of 74. Right? He's going and just making plays himself. Percentage of points at the free throw line last 5 games 18% compared to 13%. It's a big deal. He's actually gotten out on the break a little bit. 18% of his points on the fast break instead of 14%. Points in the paint up to 34% from 29%. These are good. These are all little trends that show, what he's trying to add to his game, what he's trying to do, how he's trying to develop. And remember, those last 5 games includes the disaster. So we'll see how long this lasts. I mean, the real one that I look at is if you look at him playing inside 5 feet this year, he's at 53%, which if I remember correctly, a year ago he was at about 49%. Okay, it's subtle. Last year restricted area, he was at 48 restricted area. Now he's at 53. That's big. That's a 5 percentage point jump in his restricted area play. If you just take the last 4 games, when he has totally looked like a different player, and these aren't against pansies. These are against Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose. Philip, I need you to mute your mic. I just tried to do it for you. I don't know if you're going to be able to. If you look at his restricted area, he's 9 of his last 11 in the restricted area. He's 10 of his last 12 inside 5 feet. He's 14 of his last 20 inside 8 feet. Now that's a world of difference. Overall in the paint, he's 14 of his last 20. Those are big-time changes for Trey Burke. Worth keeping an eye on. Here's one I just stumbled upon yesterday I thought was worth noting in Jazz history. We had some pretty awesome teams back then. The teams that lost to the Lakers recently, my early years of calling games. Darren Williams, Kyle Korver, Andre Karolinko, Carlos Boozer, Mehmet Okur. I mean, those were really good teams. And I truly believe they have the second best team in the NBA. Houston was really good. Houston could have beat the Lakers. We couldn't beat the Lakers. And there were some disappointments. I mean, I think in some ways we underperformed a little bit at times, losing in the first round, some of the Boozer injuries. But I mean, you just look at those teams. Darren at 23, Carlos at 26, Memo at 28, Karolinko at 26, Brewer 22, Millsap 22, Harpering 31, Korver 26, CJ 20. I mean, those are some real teams. Who would have thought? So that year I just grabbed right there is 07-08. We're 8 years later. I think the feeling was if we could have found a way, if we'd been a bigger market, you hold that team together, you really have something, right? I mean, Darren's on the verge of all-stardom. Boozer's putting up 21 and 10 in the this is the year we lose in the second round to the Lakers, the 08 playoffs. We beat the We beat the Rockets in the first round. Rafer Alston's not good enough to handle Darren. We've won the Northwest Division. We're in 54 games. We're on our way. We're the number one offensive team in the NBA, number 12th defensively. I mean, this team looks like it's built to go. Memo's 28. He's the old one. So in this model, 7 years later, Memo would have been 35. Karolinko would have been 31. Boozer would have been 31. Darren would have been 29. This 30. This seems like this would have been like hold this group together. That's seems like championship caliber team. Who would have known that by 2015, so 6-7 seasons later, Darren's basically getting close to done with injuries and just not explosion. Boozer is just out to pasture, playing out the string. Memo is retired. Karolinko's done. Ronnie Brewer's out of the league. He was 22. And Millsap and Korver have become the studs. And CJ Miles is leading a team in scoring. He's not really any much better, but who would have thought that? Isn't that the most bizarre, strange turn of events? I mean, truly, for all the things we ever tell you and how championship teams are built, that team stays together. This would be like when you're a championship team. Darren's at 30, Boozer's at 32, like they're ready to go. And yet, the top guys on that team, the top 5 guys in that team are virtually done. The starting lineup of a team that was 23, 26, 28, 26, 22 are done. Harpring's retired. 6, I mean, Darren's not retired and Boozer's not retired. 4 guys are out of the league at this point. Jaron Collins is in the house tonight as a coach for the Warriors on that team. Might be an interesting conversation piece with him. Ronnie Price. Who would have thought that Ronnie Price is still starting in the NBA out of that group? Just tells you what a crapshoot this really is. To me, that's just truly nutty, crazy stuff. All right, that wraps up tip-off today. I hope you're doing really well. Wait, I had some questions to quickly get to. Sorry. And there were some questions on some people are leaving questions on the tip-offs page. So far, do you feel the Jazz are happy with their contract extensions? Yeah, they got to be ecstatic with Hayward and Favors, and time will tell on Alec. For your years of interacting with players, this is from Riley O'Brien. What is your overall sense? Personnel guys take certain matchups. How would you think Trey Burke views tonight's matchup against Steph? Well, I mean, I think with some excitement that he has a chance to, prove himself and continue to play well. Probably with some concern as well, because Steph's incredible. From Benjamin Kelly, Rudy Gobert, Defense Player of the Year. Is he taller than Ben Wallace? Much taller. Ben Wallace was only 6'10". Our defense has been better with Rudy off the floor than on the floor for a little while. Not quite, actually. That's not quite. So Rudy's still got a long way to go. We're getting Rudy's really good. He's fabulous. Can be a franchise changer. He can be really good. We're getting a little in love with highlights. Okay? Like the 5 block shots tonight are amazing. He's changing games. His game in Oklahoma City was really awesome. He's really good. But the whole picture is still what the coaches are watching. Right? The whole picture of things is what everyone's watching. I'm extremely impressed by the job Coach Quinn and staff have done. I'm equally impressed by the players' willingness to fit in the system. Does continuity require the Jazz to make no trades at the deadline and retain these players for the summer next year? Mainly Cantor's the issue, but Ingles as well. I don't think all of them have to come back, but there's something to be said that the Warriors' top 7 players are all back, that Atlanta's top players are all back with the integration of Horford. Toronto's main guys are all back with the integration of Lou Williams. So one piece here or there coming back. I think that Detroit's all played together, got rid of their nemesis, Houston to be interesting. They keep changing things up along the way. Chicago suddenly scuffling. They made a lot of changes in the offseason, adding Powell, and that's a major systematic change. Portland, exact same as they were a year ago, except for the fact they added Chris Kaman, and they're rolling. Memphis, exact same as they were. They've now made a trade, but they were the exact same. Dallas changes things up. Rick Carlisle's genius. Clippers are basically the exact same. There is really something to the continuity aspect of things that are out there. All right, those are the questions today. I know there's a bunch of questions over here from James and Aaron and Forrest and Philip and guys who asked questions. I wanted to get those other guys in today, um, and uh, and we'll get. I'll try to get to those if you want to re-ask them on another day. But I got to get the kids and I got to snow blow a driveway. Hope you're good. Thank you very much for tuning in.